Hey everyone, welcome to CCISD Mission Control. In anticipation of the upcoming Artemis II launch, this video is going to go over some of the science involved, specifically how the human body is impacted by space travel. My name is Brigham, and I'm a senior from Clear Springs High School, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to share this information with you. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, we need to understand what has one of the biggest impacts on our body in space. For the Artemis II mission, astronauts will constantly experience something called microgravity. Microgravity is a condition where gravity feels very weak, but it's important to know that true zero gravity doesn't exist anywhere in space. The reason astronauts feel weightless is because the spacecraft is constantly moving extremely fast in orbit. As it travels around Earth, gravity is pulling the spacecraft inward, while centripetal force pulls it outward due to the velocity. These two forces perfectly balance, which makes astronauts feel like they're floating. Because gravity is no longer pulling their bodies downward the way it does on Earth, the human body has to adapt to this new environment. On Earth, our muscles are constantly working to support our body weight. Even standing still requires muscle effort. However, in microgravity, muscles are used much less, which causes muscular atrophy, meaning the muscle tissue becomes thinner and weaker. The same thing happens to bones. Because bones are no longer supporting weight, astronauts experience bone loss, where bones become weak and more brittle. This is dangerous because weaker bones are more likely to fracture when astronauts return to Earth's gravity. To slow down muscle and bone loss, astronauts are often required to exercise up to 2 hours every single day while in space. On Earth, gravity constantly pulls fluids in our body downward towards our feet. In microgravity, however, that downward pull is greatly reduced, causing fluids to shift upwards toward the head. This buildup of fluid in the head increases pressure inside the skull and behind the eyes. Over time, this pressure can flatten the eyeball from the back and damage the optic nerve, leading to blurry vision. This condition is called Spaceflight-Associated Neuroocular Syndrome, or SANS. It's one of the NASA's biggest health concerns for deep space missions. The vestibular system, located in the inner ear, uses gravity to help control balance. In space, gravity no longer works the same way, so the system doesn't function properly. As a result, astronauts can experience nausea, dizziness, disorientation, and a condition known as space motion sickness. When astronauts return to Earth, their brains must learn how to balance in gravity, which can cause dizziness or even fainting. Astronauts live in small, enclosed environments with limited privacy, which can cause stress, anxiety, and sleep disruption. Because of this, astronauts often receive psychological support during missions. Lighting inside spacecraft also affects our circadian rhythms, which controls sleep cycles. On Earth, our bodies rely on natural light to tell us when it's time to sleep. Without these natural lighting cues, astronauts' bodies can struggle to tell them when it's time to rest. To manage this, astronauts follow very strict schedules to make sure they get enough sleep. On Earth, we are protected from radiation by our planet's magnetic field and atmosphere. These shield blocks both charged and uncharged radiation particles. Astronauts in space, however, do not have this protection. Exposure to radiation can damage the DNA inside their cells, increasing the risk of cancer, heart disease, and nervous system damage. To reduce these risks, NASA used radiation shielding and radiation sensors. During the Artemis I mission, multiple sensors were used to test different ways of protecting astronauts, and this data helps prepare for Artemis II. Artemis II will send astronauts further than Earth than ever before, traveling about 2,500 miles from Earth and surpassing the Apollo 13 record. Medical help will be delayed, and astronauts will experience up to 45 minutes of no radio contact while passing behind the moon, often called the dark side of the moon. Understanding how the human body reacts in space allows NASA to design safer spacecraft, better exercise systems, and improve medical training for future Moon and Mars missions. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about how our bodies are impacted by spaceflight. If you're interested in learning more about Artemis II, make sure to check out our other videos.